Tommy Robinson, people have been protesting in his name. What do you make of Tommy Robinson? Is he a good guy in your eyes?
No. All of that lot, we have nothing to do with them.
Even the protesters who have got banners up saying two-tier Keir, you agree with them on the policing and justice?
We agree with ourselves. I'm not aligning ourselves with Tommy Robinson's
passport problems, you name it. He's got his own campaign. We are a political party aiming to win the next general election. He's not what we need.
Reform UK and observers stunned by the sudden storm swirling around Tommy Robinson are scrambling to process a development few saw coming. The unexpected turn has shaken both allies and opponents, forcing them to reassess the narrative and question what's really unfolding beyond the surface noise. What began as routine political buzz has escalated into a high-stakes moment, exposing deep fault lines, intensifying rivalries, and igniting speculation that reaches far beyond the usual headlines.
Now, after the weekend, there has been a lot of people turn their back on Reform as a party. I am a supporter, I favour Reform, or have been, but after the weekend's comments, I, like many of you, have been a little disgruntled with the way that Richard Tice went about his comments. Now, for those of you that
For years, Tommy Robinson has positioned himself at the center of one of Britain's most explosive debates, repeatedly drawing attention to the scandal of grooming gangs across the United Kingdom, and demanding accountability where he believes institutions failed. Branded by critics as a far-right agitator yet defended by supporters as a relentless campaigner, he has operated under intense scrutiny, facing backlash while continuing to challenge official narratives and question how such crimes were allowed to persist. Now, fresh claims of institutional concealment and information suppression have reignited the argument, with many arguing that elements of his warnings deserve renewed examination. Before we go any further, if you're finding this political breakdown compelling, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's completely free, and your support makes a real difference. Most viewers watch without subscribing, so if you've already done it, thank you. If not, now's the perfect time. Let's dive back in.
Well, he's attacking the leadership of Britain. I mean, he's saying Britain's been terribly badly led, and that the grooming scandal, the mass rape scandal, which has resurfaced, and transcripts of what was said in court have been online, and I recommend you at home don't read them. You won't sleep at night.
The aftermath of these revelations has hit like a political earthquake, reigniting fierce debate over Tommy Robinson's activism, the credibility of national leadership, and what this moment means for justice and free expression in the United Kingdom. Conversations that once simmered on the margins are now front and center, with critics and supporters clashing over accountability and institutional trust. Amplifying the pressure, billionaire entrepreneur and outspoken free speech advocate Elon Musk has publicly voiced support for Robinson and urged his release, injecting global attention into an already volatile situation. Musk's intervention has sent ripples through the political landscape, intensifying scrutiny on Reform UK, and raising pointed questions about whether his influence could trigger a significant shift in their strategy or stance moving forward.
Do you worry that the party pooper could be the person who may be your biggest saviour a week ago, Elon Musk? You called him a bloody hero on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
You said you were expecting a reasonably sized donation. Do you still think that? He's saying remarks now attacking Britain, supporting Tommy Robinson. Is he now political kryptonite to you?
Well, he's attacking the leadership of Britain. I mean, he's saying Britain's been terribly badly led, and that the grooming scandal, the mass rape scandal, which has resurfaced, and transcripts of what was said in court have been online, and I recommend you at home don't read them. You won't sleep at night.
For decades, the United Kingdom has wrestled with deep institutional failures in confronting grooming gang scandals, as report after report exposed the exploitation of vulnerable young girls while warning signs were overlooked or dismissed. Survivors have described being ignored or sidelined by systems meant to protect them, intensifying public anger and eroding trust in authority. Multiple investigations concluded that, in some cases, officials hesitated or softened responses out of concern about community tensions or accusations of prejudice, creating a climate where offenders operated with alarming freedom. The result was a breakdown of accountability that left victims unsupported, whistleblowers isolated, and the nation forced to confront uncomfortable questions about leadership, responsibility, and the cost of silence.
And so, yes, he is attacking the leadership in Britain. He's very supportive of me. He's very supportive of the party. He sees Robinson as one of these people that fought against the grooming gangs. But of course, the truth is Tommy Robinson's in prison, not for that, but for contempt of court for the third occasion. But I mean, equally, there are people in Britain who think that Robinson is a political prisoner. That's the narrative that he's pushed out. That's how he earns his living, but it isn't quite true.
Tommy Robinson rose as one of the most outspoken challengers of what he described as a broken system, using documentaries, public appearances, and direct confrontations with officials to demand answers about grooming gang scandals. The response was fierce. Critics branded him divisive and accused him of heightening community tensions, yet his persistence ensured the issue never faded from public view, pressuring authorities to confront the scale and seriousness of the crisis. Now, fresh disclosures have intensified the storm, with claims that certain figures within law enforcement and local councils withheld or downplayed information to limit political damage. The breadth of the alleged concealment has reignited demands for transparency and reform, and in the eyes of his supporters, Robinson's long-running warnings suddenly carry a renewed and unsettling weight.
No, it's certainly not. I mean, at least in Britain, Twitter is still predominantly a left-wing progressive platform, at least insofar as we're talking about political Twitter. It has always had a left-wing dominance, and that remains the case today. And for that, it doesn't really matter who owns it. It's not as if Elon Musk was somehow clamping down on left-wing accounts. What he's done is simply he has relaxed content controls, and he is sometimes himself trolling leftist Twitter.
The entrance of Elon Musk has injected a dramatic new dimension into this escalating story. Long known for championing open debate and challenging political orthodoxy, Musk has leveraged his global platform to spotlight Tommy Robinson's work, circulating his documentaries, and openly questioning why someone raising concerns about institutional failures continues to face legal consequences. His pointed criticism of the UK's justice framework and political leadership has amplified the controversy far beyond national borders, intensifying scrutiny and pushing the grooming gang debate back into the international spotlight with renewed force.
Next tonight, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has said that the English Defence League co-founder Tommy Robinson isn't welcome in his party. Follows high-profile support for Robinson. His real name is Stephen Yaxley-Lennon from
Elon Musk's open backing of Tommy Robinson has reignited a fierce national argument over free expression and the place of controversial campaigners in a democratic society. By elevating Robinson's case to a global audience, Musk has strengthened the narrative among supporters that difficult questions deserve a hearing, while simultaneously intensifying pressure on UK leadership to address the institutional breakdowns that allowed serious crimes to go unchecked. His intervention has transformed what was once a domestic dispute into a wider test of accountability, transparency, and the limits of political tolerance.
I wanted Tommy Robinson to join UKIP. I don't want him to join Reform UK, and he won't be.
Reform UK, a movement built on promises of structural change and tougher accountability, has frequently found itself in tension with supporters of Tommy Robinson. Senior figures such as Nigel Farage and Richard Tice have publicly drawn a clear line, distancing the party from Robinson over concerns about controversy and electability. That decision has opened a noticeable fault line, with a portion of the grassroots arguing that Robinson's focus on institutional failures mirrors the very reformist values the party claims to champion, creating an uneasy divide between strategic caution at the top and frustration among parts of its potential base.
Urging people to vote for Reform UK, generally promoting articles which support their campaigning issues. Now, all of that's well and good for Nigel Farage to have one of the world's richest men, the US billionaire, close ally of Donald Trump, supporting him online. However,
Elon Musk's outspoken backing of Tommy Robinson could mark a decisive inflection point. If Reform UK were to edge closer to Musk's broader free speech framing, it might narrow the divide between party leadership and Robinson's supporters, converting internal friction into renewed momentum. Such a recalibration would not simply energize segments of its base, it would signal a willingness to confront polarizing debates head-on, recasting the party as unapologetically bold in tackling issues others approach with caution.
in British politics by tweeting on X, the site that he owns, in support of Reform UK is a bit of a double-edged sword for Nigel Farage. So he's always liked to take a pop at the Labour government, Sir Keir Starmer. It all began after the riots, Southport riots this summer, but over the last few days, he's got increasingly inflammatory with his comments criticising Sir Keir Starmer and Jess Phillips, the safeguarding minister, principally over the issue of whether or not there should be an inquiry into the sexual exploitation of children by grooming gangs.
Despite the potential gains, Reform UK faces a high-stakes dilemma in reassessing its position on Tommy Robinson. Moving closer to Robinson risks estranging moderate backers who see him as deeply divisive, while also inviting scrutiny and attacks from political rivals and mainstream media eager to portray the party as extreme. Yet, the calculation is more than a gamble. Navigating this controversy thoughtfully could redefine the party's identity, demonstrating both strategic courage and a willingness to confront contentious national debates head-on.
Where it gets a bit tricky is in this issue of his support for Tommy Robinson, the co-founder of the English Defence League, a man who is in jail since last October for repeating libelous allegations against a Syrian refugee.
On the flip side, ignoring Elon Musk's high-profile endorsement and the rising momentum behind Tommy Robinson's cause could represent a critical missed opportunity for Reform UK. The party faces a delicate balancing act, leveraging this surge of attention to expand its influence while carefully managing the risk of distancing core supporters. Navigating this terrain successfully could not only strengthen its base, but also position Reform UK as a decisive force willing to engage with the most contentious issues shaping national discourse.
Has been very careful to distance himself from Tommy Robinson. In fact, he resigned from UKIP, which he formerly led back in 2018, because he saw the party as getting too close to Tommy Robinson, had been hired by a later leader as an advisor. And since then, he's been very careful to ensure that his political involvement is in trying to bring Reform UK and UKIP previously more to the centre of the right of politics to make it an electoral.
Elon Musk's intervention has sent ripples across UK politics, elevating the debate around Tommy Robinson and the ongoing crisis of grooming gangs and institutional neglect. By openly challenging the status quo and amplifying Robinson's work, Musk has refocused attention on systemic failures that many hoped would remain buried. His critiques of political leadership and calls for accountability have struck a chord not just nationally, but globally, shining a spotlight on the scandal and forcing the world to reckon with its broader social and political implications.
His polls suggesting it could win as many as 120 seats at the next election. He's holding a conference tonight in Leicester and a number others planned in coming days across the country. He's really trying to capitalise on this surge of support for reform seen at the last election. The last thing he wants is for his party to be associated with these more far-right elements, which Elon Musk certainly, by expressing support for both reform and Tommy Robinson, seems to be doing. So we heard him there really trying to.
Elon Musk's backing highlights how a single influential voice can shift the conversation and force leaders to face uncomfortable realities. By championing Tommy Robinson's cause, he has intensified pressure on politicians to acknowledge systemic failures and their long-term consequences. For Reform UK, this moment presents a critical crossroads. Embracing Musk's vision and Robinson's movement could bridge two aligned constituencies, united by demands for justice, accountability, and structural reform, forming a formidable coalition capable of challenging the status quo and driving meaningful change.
Both horses really not distance himself too much from Elon Musk, but also to try and make the point that Tommy Robinson isn't welcome in his party. But I think in the public's view, the more that Elon Musk talks about Tommy Robinson, the more the two will become associated.
Yet the risks remain stark. Reform UK must weigh the potential gains of aligning with Tommy Robinson against the challenges of endorsing such a divisive figure. How the party manages this precarious balance will not only determine its own path forward, but could also leave a lasting mark on the broader landscape of UK politics, influencing debates over accountability, reform, and the limits of public discourse.